I had a viewer ask for a lamb recipe, so today I'm going to show you my favorite way of making a rack of lamb. Let's get into this. I have two beautiful rack of lamb right here, and we are going to start with our marinade. Now for our marinade, I'm going to do flat leaf Italian parsley, rosemary, thyme, shallots, garlic, olive oil. Okay, this is a base to a very simple marinade that goes great on obviously lamb. You could throw this on steaks, you could do it as a rib roast, however you want to do it. It works pretty flawlessly around everything. You could also add a little bit of Dijon mustard to the marinade and put that onto steaks as well if you would like, but let's just start cooking. On the flat leaf Italian parsley, I like to go ahead and pull off, separate these big leaves from the stems. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like to take most of this stuff out. The chickens will absolutely love these little morsels of stem. On this, you're basically just gonna grab it, push it all together, fold it over itself, make a little bundle, and run your knife down it. All right, it doesn't need to be too fine at this point because we're gonna add the rosemary and the thyme to this. Since the leaves are obviously a lot bigger than the other ones, I like to just give it a head start. If you're super lazy, you can go ahead and just take all this, throw it into a blender or a food processor. You are gonna destroy and show zero love to your herbs, and it's kind of just gonna be not as clean. But like I said, if you're lazy, you can go ahead and do that. To this, I like to do the same thing with the thyme. Pull off the stems. Usually works better if you go downwards towards the root, I guess you would say, of the plant on average. Again, I don't want these stems. No one really wants to chew on this kind of stem. They are pretty tough. Now that I have the thyme into the parsley, I'm just gonna go ahead and run through this really fast, just to start breaking that down. Okay, that's good enough. Rosemary, same thing. If you like a really strong rosemary flavor, go ahead and add a little bit more. I like more on the mild side of rosemary. It is extremely strong. And I'm not a huge fan, but I'm not against it either. So I like just a touch, just a little hint of rosemary love with my lamb chops. Get that off the stem as well, because no one definitely wants to chew on a rosemary stem. Here, I'm not going to immediately add this to the thyme and the parsley. I'm going to begin chopping it alone because these leaves are much tougher than the other two leaves. And therefore, I want to make sure that it is cut up pretty well so I don't miss it, because nobody wants some big chunk of rosemary in their mouth by itself. At least I don't, so hey. So overall, that's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead, add that to this. At this point, run your knife down everything, get it all back down finer. Beautiful. Now, throw this in. To this, we're gonna go ahead and just add our salt right now. Pepper. We cannot forget the shallots and garlic. Go really fine on your shallots and your garlic. Doesn't need to be perfect, it is just a marinade. I absolutely love shallots, so I'm not scared of putting a little extra in there. I think it's just incredible. Doesn't need to be as fine as the herbs, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in. I'm gonna get my garlic ready. To our marinade, we are going to go ahead and add extra virgin olive oil. Delish. Fresh, clean. Let's get these marinated on something. Yeah, we'll just use this. Oh, we're just gonna throw this on. Smells so nice. All nice and delish. Obviously, you could probably use a deeper pan or something for this, but hey, here we are. Okay. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna wrap it up, I'm gonna let it sit in the fridge 4 to 6 hours. If you wanna go longer, but I'm going 4 to 6 hours. It's been about 4 hours. Our lamb is marinated. It smells, of course, delish. It's time to go to our next step, and we are going to sear these bad boys. So we're gonna get this pan on high heat. High heat. Action! Lights, camera, action, go! Yes! Okay. Pan's hot. You could use olive oil, canola oil, whatever oil you want to use. We're going to go ahead and use avocado oil. We're getting fancy and kind of becoming a little granola. I'm going to put a decent amount in the pan. We're going to switch this over. There we go. Vertical. That immediately smells fantastic. We seared all sides of the rack of lamb. High heat, get a good crust on there. At this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let these sit and rest. You could throw them back in the refrigerator, but I want them to tighten up again because we're going on to our next step. This lamb does require a little bit of love in order to make it. So it takes a little bit of time, quite a few steps. You don't wanna do these steps. By all means, marinate it up. Just like we did, throw it onto the pan, throw it onto a grill, cook it until your desired temperature, and just like this itself is delish. Or cut it into chops and do the same thing. We are going to go ahead once this cools and add a little bit of Dijon mustard to the outside. You could do that, a little bit of that into the marinade like I said before, and go ahead and throw that on the grill as chops if that's what you like. But back to what we're actually doing. These are gonna go in the fridge. And we wait. Once we seared the rack of lamb, we went ahead and threw them into the refrigerator for about 10 or 15 minutes just to start to cool down a little bit. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and lather these two bad boys up with some Dijon mustard. Ooh. Oh, this is good. Let's go here. It's kind of easier with both hands. Out of the way here. Okay. Cover all the parts and pieces. Get your ends. Okay. The excess come off. Beautiful. These look incredible. Incredible. Beauteous. Let's get our area cleaned up and we will continue. Again, we are going to go ahead and we are heating our pan up on high heat because what we're going to do is we are now going to sear the outside of the lamb once again to give a little bit of a crisp up to the panko. In the meantime as well, I got the oven heating up to 350 degrees while this is all happening. So we're going to let this continue to heat up and we're going to sear these bad boys hot and fast. Chuck our pan. Yep, hot. Going back in, avocado oil. Oh boy, we don't want plastic to melt in there. That's weird. Whoo! Little too much. Let's see here. Nope, that'll be just fine. Same way. Drop those in here. Get a nice little sear on. Turn it down just a little bit. I don't want the panko to burn. We seared up the lamb. Oh, whoa. We seared up the lamb. Get this off here. Okay. Throw it into the oven. Okay. These look delish. Let's go ahead and cut this bad boy and see where we are at. Oh, baby. Beauteous Maximus. Let's make sure. See where we're at. Beautiful. I'm all about that medium rare. If this is a little too undercooked for you, by all means, leave it in. We did 350 and we left it in there for 17 minutes. Correct? 17? Yeah. 17 minutes. Got to about 120 degrees. We allowed it to sit, rest for another 8 or so minutes. Cut it in, and let's go ahead and try one of these bad boys. These are beautiful. All right, it's kind of a little bit of a mess now. The wife demanded that we made a thumbnail picture immediately. So that's what we did. So we have a bunch of stuff that we already plated up. That's gonna be most likely the thumbnail, possibly. We don't know. And a couple other pieces. So I also did a really quick red wine reduction as a sauce just because it felt right in my heart. So that's what I did. Let's stop talking and let's first off just go ahead and try this. Look at this beautiful. Oh. That is fire. As always. I mean, what else? What am I really gonna say? I'm like, oh, this sucks. Probably not. So, but this is really good. Now, when you cut it, and when you're searing this, and also when you're cutting this, some of that panko is going to come off. There's going to be a lot that's going to stay on. It's not a big deal. Trust the process. Let some of it come off. If you want to sprinkle some on top, you know, like so, do that because it's delish. Okay, but there's going to be quite a bit that's still going to stay on, and it's just going to add for an elevated level of texture when you bite into this beautiful lamb. So it's fire. Red wine reduction. Let's try it. Of course, I mean, it's gonna be good. Sweet, savory. The reduction I pretty much did last minute. I just, like I said, it felt right. If I was gonna serve this to the family with as a whole meal, I would make maybe some kind of risotto, or some roasted root vegetable, a parsnip puree. Those are just a couple quick ways. Potatoes that I would finish this off as a meal. Maybe some grilled asparagus, whatever feels right. So I'm gonna start eating some of this as well. And this is fire. So I'm just gonna wrap this up. As always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. We appreciate that. I hope you enjoy what you see. Maybe learn something or maybe two things. Description below for a full detailed recipe if this is something you'd like to make. And thank you guys so much again for joining us. You guys have yourselves a blessed day. Okay, it's enough of the whole film thing right now. Let's just start eating. Oh, look at this. I mean, this is cooked so perfectly. We need a little sauce. We need a little crumb. Yeah, it's so tender. Dogs?